We're just days away from the SRC election here at the University of Pretoria, and we've decided to gather a couple of candidates all vying for your vote to have their last opportunity to prove themselves to you before you get to make your final decision on Wednesday. Good morning, I'm your host, Makola, and welcome to the SRC election debate for the portfolio, Facilities, Safety and Security, powered by MCA, Elections Management Consulting Agency of Africa. This is the second leg of the debate. The previous one should already be uploaded on YouTube, and you can check that out as well to get a glimpse of what the other candidates had to offer for this portfolio. And there's a whole new set of candidates that are seated besides me as well. Let me introduce them quite quickly. On our far left, or your far left rather, we have Kamokhelo Mothapo. Next to her, we have Remo Morake, and next to him, we have Itumeleng Mutaung. Thank you so much for taking time to join us for this debate. It's set to be a very interesting one, to say the very least. A few ground rules before we get started, just so that you are a bit comfortable and you know how this whole process works. The first one, please ensure that you are as respectful as possible throughout the debate. No discrimination will be tolerated. Secondly, a question will be posed to each and every one of you, of which you'll be given an opportunity to answer that question, and your fellow candidates can then rebut some of the things that you've had to say, and perhaps give their own inputs on this so-called question. And secondly, or thirdly rather, for time reasons, try to keep your responses as concise as possible. And lastly, let's try our best not to interrupt each other, as we'll all have an opportunity to speak. Seems pretty self-explanatory, right? Cool. Let's get right into it. I think I'm going to start with Kamokhelo. South African universities, including, the University of Pretoria, have recently faced a lot of challenges regarding, student accommodation shortages, among other safety concerns that have since been highlighted through different student protests that have happened across various universities, including the University of Pretoria. Given what's been happening, given the circumstances of what's been happening regarding student accommodation as well as student safety on campus, how will you, if you had to head up this portfolio, address these concerns of students?
Good day, everyone. So, accommodation should be a place of security, not stress. I will push for better lighting, CCTV, and security patrols on campus, and stricter safety audits for accredited off-campus housing. But safety isn't just physical. I'll also fight for residential counselors and mentors so students feel supported both inside and out. Okay, these are the steps that I will follow. Firstly, I would promote a smart security infrastructure such as biometric access, AI surveillance, installation biometric entry system in residences, and use AI-powered CCTV to dictate unusual activities such as loitering. Panic buttons app with security firms to develop a university-wide safety app with real-time GDP tracking, emergency alert, and direct link with campus. Expanded regulated accommodation, public-private partnership. I would work with accredited off-campus providers to ensure safety compliance, and also ensure that shuttle services are provided for late-night transportation between residences and lecture venue. Psychologically, I will develop a well-being initiative, and also a 24/7 mental health hotspot, a dedicated counseling line for students feeling unsure or distressed, peer-supported network such as training senior students as safety ambassador to foster trust and report concerns early.
I'm going to let you move the mic over to Remo. Given what she's just said regarding student safety and how she plans to address this, do you think that this is sufficient, or do you think that a lot more needs to be done, and how would you plan to do so?
Thank you, Tseho. So, looking at student safety and the student accommodation crisis, right, Kamu went on to state how let's install CCTV CCTV cameras around the space where students interact with one another. Let's use smart security around campus and within the residencies. But my problem with that is such means and measures of security are already there, right? For example, if you hop onto Hilda Street, you guys will see there on the corner by the robot, there is CCTV footage, but it's not enough. We need visibility from security and partnerships which are already in place, such as the Hatfield CID. Right? You've got your Tshwane Metro Police Department, your South African Police Service, and the University of Pretoria Security Services. We need them to actually be on ground for visibility. As much as, yes, we can implement technology, technology is failing us. For example, the panic button. I know that taxers had implemented a partnership with the Hatfield CID to say, no, all taxer students and all University of Pretoria students can use the panic button on the app. But the campaigning and the rollout of that app wasn't as sufficient as it was supposed to be, so it failed the people. That's why I'm saying such measures are great in theory, but in practice, what we really need are people on the ground. Right? We need more patrols going on. For example, for that student leaving here to TMM lofts, because unfortunately, the reality is people are going to be placed further away from the university because accommodation is cheaper there. That's the only way and feasible way currently to address the student accommodation issue. So then how do we bridge the security from your residency onto campus? What, would you like to say something?
Yeah, Itumeleng, you seem to have something to add?
Yes, I think with regards to the Hatful CID app, I think what can be done is the university and just the private private companies that are handling the CID app. I think the university security as well as them, they can partner together. When it comes to the panic button, when students, let's say, click that panic button, I think there should be response from both the university patrol system and just the private companies. In that way, we know that response is coming from one of them and it will be faster. And then what we also need to look into is, I think the bus services that are given, I know with Hillcrest accommodations, students that stay on the Hillcrest accommodations are given, late night bus shuttles. I think that should be extended to all other far campuses. I mean, not far campuses, far residences, so that we know that all students that want to use campus late at night, they can use it and they know that they will get home safely. I think that's one thing that we need to just look into, that the bus services that are given to people that stay on campus shouldn't only be for them, but it should accommodate all students.
So, thank you, Mpumi. You mentioned how the response time, right, to the panic button, which is a great point. But the response time is there. I urge anyone who has the app, if you literally press on the app, response comes within, I know the last time we were checking, we were doing the demo, you get that call immediately. But the problem is, I don't feel safe on the street to take out my phone, then go look through the app, say, okay, I'm on the app, where's the panic button? Right? The process of getting getting help in terms or in case of an emergency takes too long. So I think if you're going to talk about panic button, let's look at how to improve the app then. To say, okay, how can I, for example, if my phone is in my pocket and I triple tap my volume button, that triggers the panic button. Let's do that instead. Rather than completely shying away from the app, I hear what you're saying let's improve the app. So that is one thing then I'd say let's take a look at. And then with the campus bus shuttles, I think the main problem with the shuttles are, as much as they are around, the university has put out a certain budget, right, for buses. So we need to see on how we can get, for example, do we need to increase funding so that the shuttles can run more frequently? Because it's easy to say, no, we want more buses, we need more buses. Let's look at the practicality of things to say, okay, what is the set budget from facilities to say, these are the amount of buses we can get, this is how much the tender was. From sitting there and showing, means on how frequently buses should go and to which campuses based on the times. We can now create an efficient schedule which makes sure that the buses run efficiently given the set boundaries of budget, because unfortunately a budget is there. Right? So with that point, I'd say let's rather than focus on how well the schedule fits with the students' needs. Right? Instead of having a lot of buses in the morning, let's kind of half those buses and make sure that within the same budget we work on a schedule that's flexible. I hope that is a point that you'd
I'd
look
like you
into.
to park the idea of the buses
Yeah.
and the funding constraints with that. And I'd like Itumeleng to just answer to the points that Remo made about, the issues that come when it comes to the practicality of such apps that deal with safety. How is that something that you plan to deal with within, this portfolio if you were elected into it?
I think another thing that we can do if you don't want to use the app and you don't feel safe using the app. We already have the green route we have green route. So why not have these panic buttons along the green route or just in our bus, next to the bus station, near the green route? You know that if you are scared to take out your phone, then you know that there's a panic button closer to the bus station or that green route. I think that could work. That could be another idea that could work instead of you using your phone. Rather have panic buttons in hotspot areas that we know students pass through.
I'd like you to pass the mic off to Kamu. Kamu seems to have something to add.
I just have a short, adding on your point. I think each and every student should be given a smaller panic button that they can use whenever they don't feel safe. You can just click on it and then it works. That way, I feel like it's more effective and it'll actually accommodate each and every person from wherever you are. And that panic button should be connected to your GPS so that it can be easier for the security team to locate you and rescue you.
You know, before we actually move on to that, I want us to move swiftly and talk about, since we're on this topic of safety and panic buttons, gender-based violence is a big issue within South Africa, right? It's Women's Month, and this unfortunately has come up as an issue once again when we look at Women's Month, right? Gender-based violence doesn't just happen in greater society, it also happens in the university community as well. How will you, within this portfolio, ensure that you address gender-based violence, prevent it if possible, or create other, preventative measures or measures that could alleviate the issue or address the issue within the university environment? I'll start with you, Remo.
Thank you. So, great point, Sero. With with GBV or gender-based violence side, let's take, for example, what I just quickly want to add on what Tumpumi is saying. Let's have panic buttons at hotspots. The facilities needed for such and the infrastructure, do we have the ability and the means to do so? For example, if they're already failing with streetlights along a route, how will they install a panic button there, right? Which is what I'm saying. I genuinely love her idea of let's still utilize the app, but then how do we modify the app, right? And that app can also work for our fellow sisters and our fellow community at large, regardless of your gender, right? Because if you don't feel safe, there is no point. So my aim would be to work with with programs that are already at the university through the student counseling unit, right? There are always workshops on how to educate the male child on what it means to be a proper male in our society currently. And from there also ensuring that females or our fellow sisters, right, depending on how you see yourself or how you classify your gender, to ensure that they have easy access, like Mpumi said, access to what they need. For example, whether it's a counseling unit at 11 p.m. or if you don't feel safe, your response time needs to be quick, which goes on to my point of if we have efficient people on the ground or footwork, we're able to ensure that regardless of where you are, if someone, for example, is in Brooklyn and they're reporting GBV of their partner was around, that response time, because there's already patrols in the area, those people or the people who are on patrol are able to respond to that situation, which is why mine says it's more of let's get physical security there, physical safety. Efficient patrols means regardless of your emergency, we're able to address it. Whether it's GBV, whether it's theft, whether it's anything that endangers you, we are present and we're able to be seen. And then education of GBV is very important. If you can educate University of Pretoria students on how to report GBV, how to ensure that you help someone who's gone through such domestic or violence in any means, that I think in my mind would be the most practical way to do it, while involving the partners we have. For example, SABs, to introduce the trainings that they involve to people on this is how you spot someone who's being abused. This is how you report GBV. This is how you do certain ways to ensure that we create a system that lasts, for example, for the next 5 years and then reevaluate it again.
Itumeleng, you've just heard what Remo has just said. Is this something that you agree with?
I think with regards to my approach, it would be like to move beyond awareness and campaigns and teachings. I think we already have that. What we can do is, as the university or as the SRC, Facility Safety and Security, I think we can partner with NGOs and GBV experts to deliver professional training to staff and just students in general, and also just make GBV prevention training compulsory at first year orientations. That's something that we can also do. And then another thing that we can do is strengthen the rules that are there in our accommodations to make sure that they have zero tolerance for harassment or any intimidation or any abuse. And then when it comes to tangible support systems, I think we can establish 24-hour survivor support centers on campus and have staff that is trained to help students whenever they need help. And then another thing that we can do is just create peer support networks where students can talk to each other whenever they feel like they are abused or harassed. They know that they have their peers to talk to and they have the relevant department to go to whenever they need help. And then another thing we can do is fast track GBV disciplinary cases with timelines and transparent processes. I think that is very important. And also just push for automatic suspension of students or like alleged perpetrators during the investigators, just to also protect the survivors as well. And then another thing that we can do is just partner with the SAPS and legal organization so cases do not end up at the university level, but also just continue in like the justice system. I think that is what we can do. So my approach is just generally just move beyond awareness campaigns. It's about prevention, survivor-centered support and accountability. I think that's what we can do.
Kamkelo, it seems like you have a lot to add to that.
I mean, she mentioned majority of my points. Okay, that's good. But adding on that, I believe we can have a survivor support system which is mainly offering emergency accommodation for survivors needing relocation and trauma-informed counseling on-site psychologists specializing in GBV recovery. So I think, yeah, that will actually contribute to the safety of students who have been violated, and I think it will increase on their safety level, since probably some of the incidents might have occurred in current accommodation that are actually residing in.
Thank you. I think going on to the point where you guys did mention NGOs, right? I think the key part of everything we're saying is the partnership with the different, how do I say this, the different organizations and the people involved and how to fast track it. I think if we try and adopt the model that's already working, for example, I was an HC in tax right, and I currently am. When we dealt with such issues, they dealt with immediately on the spot. So if we can now implement the existing model and modify it to make sure, like you said, we introduce it into private accommodation. And for example, how does not the panic button, I mean, at the back of your student card 2310 where you can call the helpline, how do we now efficiently ensure that, for example, if you feel safer talking to a ma'am on the other side, how that is implemented? So, which goes back on my primary point of mine is, the theoretical infrastructures are there. Let's make them practical, like Mpumi is saying.
Okay, I think we're going to have to move a bit swiftly. Itumeleng, I want to, while we're on the topic of gender-based violence, right, we've had a whole lot of stories circulating all across the media that students have been exposed to regarding how women have not felt safe within society. One of them being the serial killer that's been on the loose within the city of Tshwane, of which some have even alleged has been in Hatfield, although that has not yet been proven. And a couple of months ago, footage, circulating, or rather visuals circulating of, a girl who was allegedly kidnapped around Prospect Street, of which that in itself also wasn't proven. What I'm trying to get at this is the fact that there's an issue of misinformation that seems to be going on, and this is an issue that ought to be dealt with by your portfolio. How will you ensure that students are adequately informed regarding their safety or other safety concerns that they face on a regular basis?
I think partnering also with is it MMC? Yes, MMC. I think it's important to partner with them in terms of, on my side as the SRC member who is handling this portfolio, firstly I will go to the SAPS and just verify if this information is correct. If the serial killer was actually in Hatfield or is in Hatfield, I think we need to verify the information. Then once we have verified that the information is true, then we can go on to have on social media, communicate with students and just tell them that they shouldn't worry. On our side, this is what we are proposing. And another thing that I included on my manifesto, and I want the university to bring back, is the system of having both your biometric and your student card to enter campus. I think that is very important in terms of just limiting unauthorized entry on campus, because also students on campus might not feel safe. So that is one measure that we can take, one measure that we can use to make sure that students are safe on campus. And then outside campus, I think also just making sure that we verify the information that is there. Was the serial killer actually in Hatfield? And then once we know, then we know that we can communicate further with students. I think that's what we can do.
Kamkhelo, you looked like you had something to add a bit earlier on.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I can. Okay, I think with the serial killer thing, we can just, okay, we don't know. Basically, currently we don't know what's happening. We just got the information. Before, I think we could just, for transparency, we can just tell people, okay, this is what's going on in Hatfield, be aware. But we're still investigating in the matter, so be safe. Walk around with your friends, be around people for extra protection. And then as soon as we get our own information, we can now update them, okay, this is what we got, and the following, yeah.
Remo, you seem to have something to add.
Yeah, thank you, Tsego. Sorry, Itu, I don't know why I was saying Mpumi, hey? You know, for example, with the news that was going around, right, with the serial killer, if you also check those locations, I remember there was another one allegedly reporting that it happened by Hillcrest Boulevard into Taxrez and Prospect Street. Those are streets that are supposed to be monitored and patrolled continuously, because if you don't have visibility of security officers or whoever is supposed to be there, criminals make their way into such areas. So it's important, like Itu said and Kamo, to always make sure that we hold everyone who's involved accountable, to get it across to the university to say our safety is not just about in campus, but outside. For example, on your way to TMM Loft, I don't know also if you've noticed, when you're going to Nerina, it's so dark along that pathway that kids can easily be abducted, assaulted, anything can happen. So by holding the people who agreed to the partnership that we have accountable, we're able to ensure that we reduce GBV, we reduce crime, and students feel safe, because a student's hours is different than a normal working person. That's why I'm saying it's important to make sure that it's efficient. Security 24/7, 365. A bicycle is not enough for patrols. We need more motorbikes. We need to make sure that every child, regardless whether they're going to Taxers and Hillcrest, TMM Lofton, Hatfield, or Arcadia, that they feel safe. Are the police there? Are people who are supposed to be held accountable around? I hope that answers your question. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like you to move the mic to Kamkhelo, because you've touched on something very important, and that's visibility. Visibility is also impacted by the lack of street lights, for example. And power is something that we seem to struggle with here within the city of Tshwane, but also on campus. We've had a lot of power outages, we've had a lot of water outages. As someone who would be elected into this position of facilities, safety, and security, how is this an issue that you ought to address, and how is it that you're going to convey it to students that are voting for you?
Okay, we can't really control load shedding, but we can make UP resilient. I will push for solar-powered lights, water storages tank, and generators in key study spaces. On top of that, I would advocate for real-time facility alert systems so students know what's working and where. Continuity and safety. To actually further explain my point, number one, I have energy resilient measures. Solar-powered lecture walls and residents. Invest in solar panels and battery storage for critical areas. 2, generator backup priorities. Ensure essential facilities such as labs, libraries, and security system remain operational during outage. Thirdly, water and sanitation solutions. I think we should prioritize rainwater harvesting and boreholes to reduce reliance on municipal supply. And also water-saving infrastructures, install low-flow taps and water tanks in residents. Third, lastly, I have student-centric adjustment. We should have flexible academic schedules, allow recorded lectures and hybrid learning during severe outage, emergency kits, distribute solar lamps and power banks to students in need.
Remo, you seem to have disagreed with some of what Damokele has said.
Not, how do I, okay, I want to say, don't take offense, right? Those are beautiful theoretical solutions, but it's not possible, right? And what I'll explain now, it's really not possible to implement all of those things at the same time. I think as an SRC member, and I'll speak now, I'll be a little bit biased, as a town planner, right? We need to understand that when it comes to infrastructure like streetlights, there are ways to hold City of Tshwane accountable. So now that's addressing the streetlights and the roads and the safety on the streets. And the university has every right to ensure that they, according to protocol, follow up on City of Tshwane. And if City of Tshwane fails, we can hold them accountable on implementing what they promised us as a university, right? This goes along to private residencies. So if everyone who is centered around students can sit and say, no, we are filing a case against City of Tshwane to show them that we take our students' security and safety very importantly. For example, another one that Kamo is saying is backup. There is backup on campus, right? The problem with backup is not on campus, it's outside. Those street lights don't have backup power. So a great point that I liked what you said is solar-powered street lights. Let's think of it that way, right? To say, okay, how do we ensure that within the catchment area of Hatfield and where the student reside, how are we making that area safe within the different power outages? And by standing up against City of Tshwane, we're able to show them that, no, they need to start taking their infrastructure provisions very important, because it's not that it's load shedding, it's power outages because of failing infrastructure on the municipality side. It's like the robots that are not working. We need to always be on their case and follow up and throw in the legal measures involved, because as citizens, we are entitled to that. As students of the University of Pretoria, we're entitled to that as well. So we need to sit and say, this is the proposed plan, and given the CID partnership with City of Tshwane, how much are the partners, private accommodations, willing to put forward to say, we want solar-powered lights, let's install solar-powered lights, let's increase visibility, like you said. It's all about understanding which protocols are there and following them and implementing them. Right? Wi-Fi, we need to make sure the basic needs are there. So every residency needs to make sure that it's part of the basic fee to say, for me to be an accredited residence, even in a situation where there's a power out, I've got water available. Just like Taxres does. If there's no water, there are water tankers. We need to make sure that that's a basic need and a basic structure in every private or public residency to say, if you're going to be an accredited UP residence, even if you're not, we urge you, this is the basic package you need to have. Backup water, backup electricity. Otherwise, you can get such from the university and say, because you're providing your residents with water, can we also have the same? Because it's all about the partnership. Because if there's no partnership, it means we say, no, tax-free students or the other students, right? But that's not how it is. At the end of the day, we're all University of Pretoria students. Let's work with what we have, enforce what we can do, and make sure that we've built a sustainable plan, just not going to end when our term ends.
I saw Itumileng nodding a little bit. Do you have something to add?
TMM, if you know what TMM is, that street it doesn't have lights even today. And what you're saying has been done. So my question to you is, what are you going to do differently? Because the City of Tshwane is already, the accommodation and the university has been reporting the problem, and I'm sure they do have a case against City of Tshwane. So what are you going to do differently when you have the thing in the portfolio? Because what you're saying is you're against the theoretical ideas that you're bringing up. You're more of the practicality part. What are we going to do differently? Are we saying we're going to invest in, or just take the money that we have and also look into what's this solar systems? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Actually, can we have Kamu respond first? She's had her hand up for quite a while, and then we'll move to you, Remo.
I mean, I heard what you said, ne? But, okay, we are struggling. Okay, we have problems at the university. Like I mentioned, sometimes we might have water outage and warawara and electricity. You mentioned the City of Tshwane. I think if they were doing their job, we wouldn't have problems. So we can't rely on them, because they're not affected. We are the affected party. So it's our responsibility to meet them halfway if they're not doing anything. We can contribute if we have the ability and capability to do that, because we are the affected party at the end of the day. We use the campus, and most of them, they actually not using the campus or reside around. So it's our responsibility to come up with new and brilliant ideas and see what we can do instead of crashing and saying things are not practical. We should do practical ways. We need theory so that we can implement it to be practical. You know, we'll never know if we never tried it.
Rema, I'll let you respond before I move on to the next question.
Thank you. I think I didn't say we don't need theory. I said I don't completely agree with the theoretical stance on the question, right? And you saying City of Tshwane is not affected. Employees of City of Tshwane may not be affected. But what you need to remember is every every, for example, it's a plot or anyone residing within City of Tshwane, these are basic services that need to be delivered. If we go and implement those services ourselves, we can still ensure that the municipality reimburses us, whether it's through a court case or anything. So it's me following up and talking to the deans of the various various departments to say, ma'am, sir, what's going on with this case? What's the university's legal stance on it? Because it's very much possible. Municipalities they're obliged by the constitution, if you know it. So it's about us not being scared to drag the municipality to that particular point, to say we need this. Also, what it will do is to show university students that my university cares for me. And it will also increase awareness, and it will also decrease theft and violence happening around, because people will know that the University of Pretoria is not afraid to take legal actions for its students, right? Which I'm saying, sorry, I'm speaking a bit too fast, let's calm down. Which is what I'm saying, when you talked about TMM and the street being implemented, that's a problem to say, we report it, it happens, we let it go. We become tired of it, right? Which is what I'm saying, we need to think of how about after my SRC term? We need to ensure that that visibility is always there. We need to show, for example, I would say let's implement something like taxes. Taxes as a facilities reporting link. Let's get that and make it accessible to all university students to say, okay, I was walking down this road number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every street light is registered. Even in the university, every door has a registration number. You say this thing is not working, this plug is not working, and we ensure that the Department of Facilities makes maintenance provisions on all those matters. Right? Let's then merge, in no offense, the theoretical and the practical in that sense. Thank you.
And Itu, I want to, probe you on something that you spoke about a bit earlier on with facilities and how, Remo just mentioned students want to feel like the university cares about them. Mm-hmm. And students have often raised that certain facilities are more allocated to other faculties than some faculties, right? How will you bridge that gap within your portfolio as facilities, safety and security?
I think one of the biggest facilities that people are still complaining about today is the 24-hour section library, the Merinsky Library. I think with that one, students are complaining that other libraries are modern, other libraries have working plugs, other libraries are just, like you can go there and you study and you know that you are safe and everything is working there. I think on my side, what I will be prioritizing is making sure that the Merinsky Library is renovated. Even if they don't renovate both the upstairs and the downstairs at the same time, they can start with the bottom part, renovate it, and also go to the top part. But what I will be prioritizing is making sure that that library is renovated and they have working plugs there. And while it is renovated, I know it would be affecting other students. Let us open other facilities. Let all other libraries be accessible to all the students. I think that's what I will be doing on my side.
Rema, I see you nodding quite a bit. Do you agree?
Definitely, because Merinsky is at the heart of anyone running for these facilities. If it's not, I don't think this is the right portfolio for you. I was very pleased with how they upgraded the elevators, because I remember once I was in that elevator and it literally stopped halfway, right? And then the doors open, which goes on to what Itu said. It's important that the public shared infrastructure within the university is upgraded adequately. For example, if you go back to that facilities link, if you ensure that every plug is working, you report it to say, I'm at station 465 it's not working. By tomorrow, that plug should be working, because now I don't want to waste time looking for another plug. It's like Wi-Fi hotspots on campus. You can't get Wi-Fi everywhere. But what if I want to sit here because it's a little bit quieter? So it's very important to do so, especially coming from South Campus, right? That's where the School of Built Environment is. It's a very, very rundown campus. We need to ensure whether it's Prince-Off, whether it's Ondersport, whether it's Hatfield, the basic necessities are running. And then we work on improving them, upgrading them, and ensuring that we all don't rely on Marinsky. Because at the end of the day, Marinsky, the infrastructure, if it's used a lot, it downgrades over time. So how do we now build alternative measures on the different campuses for public use?
I'm going to let Kamo respond to that before we get to our final question. Kamo?
With me, I just feel like the most important thing is investigating. Actually ask students, what do you really want? What do you want to see? And take on their responses and try to cater things to their needs. Because we can't just take things and be like, okay, this is what we're going to implement in that faculty, whereas they're not even going to use it. So I feel like, I don't know, diving deep and investigating, what do you want to do? Okay, some people love studying outside. Okay, you guys love studying outside. What can we do for you? And then they tell us, okay, you guys love what? And then we cater each and everything to their needs. Because each and every person have got different needs and wants. So yeah, that's my, to add on what they said.
You know, the final question, and I'd like you to pass the mic to Remo. You know, all of you are independent candidates, and often concerns of safety and facilities are often taken up by people who are part of political parties on campus. How will you, if elected into this portfolio, ensure that there are no clashes by members of political parties that are trying to, quote unquote, do your job? I'll start with you, Remo.
I'm a firm believer in partnership, but if it's adequate and proper partnership, I'll be able to ensure that I sit with the political parties and as an independent candidate to say, for example, your type of political party, your political party has a big voice when it comes to accommodation matters. Can you please work with me to ensure that we're able to hold this particular residency accountable with the university? So it's not about secluding them. Most of the people, when they feel left out, that's when they take measures into their own hands. I'm saying, me running as an independent candidate means I'm representing the plus minus 44,000 university students who say, this is what we want. Hold me accountable, because it's easier to hold me accountable to my morals because I'm one individual rather than a political party. But then I'm going to call on those political parties and say, you've got strengths here, you've got weaknesses here. Let's come together with our strengths to ensure that we deliver on the mandate, which is to serve our fellow students. I hope that answers your question.
And Kamo, I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer the same question.
Adding on that, I believe we would emphasize the law of separation of power. They should know their place, not in a bad way. You should know, okay, this is where I end as a politician, and we leave the other thing to the school. You know, let students be students and do their things the way they wanna run it. You know, so yeah, I just feel like separation of power should be emphasized. We should have boundaries.
After Edu, if I can quickly add on to something, please.
On my side, I think it is important that we work together, because I think at the end of the day, we both are for the students. We want to solve the problems that students face. So I think it is important that we reach a common ground that these are the problems that students have, and how can we both solve them. I think it is important that we just work together. If on their side they are good at helping students that are off campus, and let's work together in terms of how can we also come in and just help off-campus students. And then, on my side, I think working together, I don't want to separate that I'm an independent, you're part of the political party. I think it is important that we work together.
I'm going to let Remo and Kamo just close off just briefly.
No problem. I was saying the power dynamic that Kamo was talking about is a very, very deadly thing, which is why, for instance, we then end up with student forums which are completely unorganized or disorganized. Right? It's important, like Itu said, we at the end of the day said we want to serve the students. And by serving the students, political parties and independent candidates, whoever is elected, we need to be able to ensure that we deliver on the mandate of students. It's not about power, it's about service, which goes on to say my ideology of leadership is servant leadership. I am for the people, by the people, right? So like Kamu said, she she alluded to saying, let's get the people involved. What do the people want? Political parties tend to sometimes have more the voice of the students. Tell me what they want. Let's sit at the table to say, Remo, no, this is what's going on, this is what's going on. I'm like, okay, we've got this from the university side, you've got this, let's do this, let's make our students happy. And that is basically it for me.
And Gamo, closing us off?
No, with the separation of power, I meant that I didn't mean we should work separately, but I feel like they shouldn't abuse their power because they have more backup. We should work together. No one should be above or, below. Yeah.
I'm going to allow you each to have your parting shot of about a minute or hopefully less. Just let the student body know why exactly they should vote for you on Wednesday. I'm going to start with Itu.
Okay, I believe that a safe and accessible and inclusive environment is a foundation to our academic success. And what I will be advocating for is our bus services, they should also explore what is alternative routes and also just alternative routes, and also we need additional buses on our campus because students are complaining that they come late for classes. And then another thing that I'm advocating for is our price point in our cafeterias need to accommodate all students, and also that we need to have halal certified foods because students have been requesting that for years. Another thing that I'll be advocating for is the renovation of the Merinsky Library 24-hour section. We need more plugs, working plugs there, and the library in general needs to be renovated. Those are some of the things that I can think of that I'm advocating for. So students should vote for me because of that. And also, I'm from the medical campus and we need more representation that side. So I think students need to vote for me because I'm a leader that will be inclusive and I'll be accommodating and helping all students from all campuses.
Thank you, Itu. So Itu is all the way from Princehof. I'm actually from South Campus. So as an built environment student under the EBIT faculty, as a town planner, I will literally ensure that the practicality, like I've been saying throughout the debate, is implemented. Using my knowledge of the various city improvement districts, whether it's for this campus or all the other campuses, we ensure that students have what they require and what they need. I will ensure that facilities are kept up to date with, if you looked at my manifesto, the facilities reporting link to ensure that we can hold the university accountable and you can vote, not vote, I'm sorry, you can also hold me accountable as your leader in this position of facilities, safety and security. I don't want you to fear going home. I don't want you to fear coming to campus. I need to ensure that when you feel safe, you're able to excel academically. You're able to ensure that I am cared for. And that overall, elevates your academic excellence, your well-being, and your, for example, mental health and physical health. So at the end of the day, I just want to say, I'm a town and regional planning student, right? I know how to address these issues. I know how to contact the relevant parties. Built for me. I'm from the built environment, and I'm a planner with a plan for a campus you can feel safe in and around.
And Gamo, just closing us off, why should students vote for you on Wednesday?
I won't take long, but I will fight for affordable food on campus, safer walkways with better lighting and CCTV, fast repair for broken facilities, reliable night shuttles, because your voice, your power is my commitment, and everybody deserves a safe space, comfortable, and a better dignity. Yeah, thank you.
Kamogelo, Remo, and Itumeleng, these are our candidates for the rather portfolio of facilities, safety, and security. This is the second leg of this debate. So be sure to exercise your right to vote on Wednesday, where you will have your opportunity to have your say.